as we're really getting into the next generation, and this is the long game, and if you're going to be in the business for the long game, then you should be planning on educating those consumers that are coming up. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Influencers, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry technology, and services to help you be a mortgage influencer in your mortgage business. And we are on our live stream on Wednesday on Mortgage Influencers. Welcome, welcome. My name is Ginger Bell. For those of you who are joining us, we've got Scott Schang. Hello, Scott.
Hello.
And we have a special guest today, Brian Vieaux, who is the president and COO of Finlocker. So, hey, Brian.
Ginger, awesome to see you. Glad to be here. Scott, always good to see you. A day early this week.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, I just got back from a wonderful cruise to Alaska.
Oh, nice.
And saw some amazing things. And, it's one of those things as you go on vacation and it's that last day and it's, getting back and you kind of start thinking about the things, it's like, okay, getting into. And I was so excited to get started today because there's so many great things to talk about. And you're doing the right thing in your life if you're excited to get back to work. So
right.
I'm excited to get back to work. I'm excited to have our conversation. And we're just going to dive in. So as you guys, if you have questions as we're going along today, type them in the Q&A, type them into Facebook. We can see those there. But I want to start off with an introduction of Brian. So Brian, I've known you for a few years.
Yeah, a little while.
And Brian started a little company called Finlocker a few years ago, based on really the premise of being able to provide financial education to consumers.
Yep. And
that's one of the things I love, Brian, about everything you've done and you've built is just to be able to do that. So I'm going to let you kind of walk us through just a little bit as far as what Finlocker does and how LOs can use it.
Perfect. Yeah, I love it. And thanks for the intro. So glad to join you two here today. And what you guys are doing is awesome for our industry and especially for loan officers. Every week you're providing them with actionable takeaways to help them better engage and educate their communities, which for the loan officers that are playing the long game, which hopefully you all are, because this is going to be a freaking long game. That's the model, I believe, that's going to be the winning model going forward. And Finlocker's trying to play a little role in that long game. We've engineered and built an experience for consumers that really helps them understand where they are in terms of being mortgage ready. And what does that mean? Our platform sits on top of consumer permission direct source data, like their credit profile, credit score, all the credit reporting data underneath that consumer's profile, the ability for a consumer to link to their financial accounts, which includes, checking, savings, investment, but also their liabilities. So their charge cards, credit cards, personal loans, auto loans, student loans, et cetera. And then also tying in their employment, income information. And then we take all that data and basically run a perpetual analysis on that data against mortgage readiness, right? So I want to be careful to not oversell what we are. We're not a pre-qual platform. We're not a pre-approval engine. We are what I like to call an education and confidence building platform. And more importantly, and this is where I think the loan officer plays such a critical role, we do not believe that our technology, or frankly, any technology, replaces the value of the local loan officer. We believe that the local loan officer is the best resource for consumers in a particular community to not only learn about their own personal preparedness for financing, but to understand really what it means to own a home. It's not just qualifying and getting a mortgage. There's a ongoing cost of home ownership that people need to understand and be prepared for. And our technology, when partnered with the right loan officer who believes in leading with the long game, leading with consumer financial education, we believe those two together is a winning recipe to compete with some of the big, the big brands that are out there that spend billions on marketing and building their brand awareness. So we're kind of the cross between, Mint.com meets Credit Karma, meets Rocket Money, meets Zillow. We bring all those features into one app. We brand that app at our enterprise client level. So the lender gets to create a product name, and that product name becomes an extension of their platform. And then again, we really believe in the power of that local loan officer as the delivery vehicle for the app and the connection with that consumer.
One thing in one of our conversations, Brian, we kind of really talked about like Rocket Money and as individual loan officers, we can have our opinions about big box lenders and online lenders and all this kind of stuff. But Rocket is one of the leading technology visionaries in our industry. And when they came out with that, it was only probably less than a year ago, right? When they rolled that.
Yeah, a little over a year ago, they bought Rocket Money. They bought Truebill.
Right.
They bought the Truebill product and rebranded it Rocket Money.
But for me, and like, I don't know if anybody else noticed this. I know you certainly did. Like, that was the trend of what they were anticipating the market and what consumers are going to be looking for, not only generationally, but just the state of our market, what kind of questions they have that are being answered. And it was funny. I saw a commercial like yesterday for Chase Bank is doing the same thing. They've got credit cards for kids now, but they've got it all under an app and everything. Like, this is, you had the disadvantage of being ahead of the curve on this one, but Finlocker has really turned into an amazing, what I like best about it is all of the things that Brian describes. Him describing it doesn't do justice to what the actual customer experience is in the app. It's really, really well done. It's very visual, and it's a very good experience. But they also do kind of a nurture. So they're also they're reaching out to the clients. It's the best early entry buyer nurture platform that I've ever seen. We talk about putting them into a CRM, and then what do? Come up with 12 topics over 12 months that aren't going to be relevant, and it's all canned. But with Finlocker, their engagement is, hey, your credit score moved. Hey, the bonus check you just deposited, you just met your goal for your down payment requirement for your house. And so it's nurturing them on a very, very personalized level, using a medium that the generations, the millennials and the X's, they're dependent on these, not dependent, but they have chosen to use these kinds of tools to help them make these kinds of decisions. So there's a little bit of complexity to it, when you think about it, especially the long game piece, Brian, but I couldn't agree with you more. Like, and it's not an or situation for me. Yes, you should be working on transactional business right now, and you need to be focusing on your long game.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you that anybody who's not thinking about or investing in their long game right now is really going to get caught on their heels.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, and things to use with something like this as a tool. And, long game, short game, the reality is you need to be in front of consumers. And by having a tool like what you have with Finlocker, I just see it as a way to be able to do a video about how to do it, how to use it, what that looks like. Next week we have a guest who's been on several times, Theoni Rappo, who is with AnnieMac. And Theoni, that's all she does is video.
Right.
She does short form video. She does TikTok. She does it on all of them. And she's gone viral many times. She just went viral again, took 10 applications, and she just educates. And her videos are very simple. It talks about, here's 3 things you need to do if you want to buy a house next year, using a tool like Finlocker to saying, this is what you need to do. And this is how you can manage that.
I
This
love
is
that.
how you can plan for that. This is how you can, understand that. And, as we're really getting into the next generation, and this is the long game. And if you're going to be in the business for the long game, then you should be planning on educating those consumers that are coming up as well, because they're looking at, what do I need to do to plan? What do I need to do to prepare? So bringing in, I just see it as, get on the app, and, you can do a screenshot of the app, show how to use it. You have to, if you're not good on editing, there's, services that you can use to do that. But be able to put that together and say, hey, have you ever wondered, how you can manage to save money for a down payment? Let me share with you an app. And if you are, doing it to where it's white labeled and branded with your own brand, boom.
Yeah.
I would be doing those all day long.
Yeah. Scott, with his, recent expertise in, all things chat GPT, we've played around on it. We have these Thursday morning kind of, I don't want to call them masterminds, because it's really there's no S, it's just one mastermind. It's Scott, and I'm just soaking it all in. But he, if you took one set of tools in the app, like just the credit tool itself, there's many more, but if you just took that, Scott, I think you were playing with like Chat GPT and how you could create social content, including video, but then follow up email campaigns and all these things that are just tied to one particular widget. And, I go back to this next generation of home buyers, which, it's that cross section today of the younger millennials and the older Gen Zs, right? That kind of late 20s into the early 30s. And if we just study where they're learning today about everything, it's on social, it's via video.
100%.
And so again, if you're a loan officer and you're ignoring the biggest channel where people are going to be learning for the next decade or longer, then you're not playing the long game, and you will be taken out, and you will be one of the originators that gets replaced by AI or a bot or something. And I think the advantage of video is still that you can be as authentic and real as you are, and it's hard to replicate that with AI. And so I don't know, I'm a big fan. Before we hit record, we were talking a little bit about my kind of journey into really leaning in on the LinkedIn platform, and it started with a single post once a week, committing to that, and it's to the point, and I'm almost a year into this kind of journey. It was funny, I was just looking earlier today. In the last year, I've had 1.5 million impressions. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if it's good or bad. It seems like a big number, but what I can tell people is that because I'm consistent, like right now, I post 4 posts a day on LinkedIn every day, 7 days a week, 4 posts a day. I don't create them every day. A lot of times I'm scheduled out for weeks ahead, but it's helped my brand, my personal brand. It's helped our company brand. People now have a better understanding of who Finlocker is, where we kind of play in the ecosystem. And then when I go into a conference, I'm not a stranger. People are like, oh man, I see you. Sometimes they're annoyed. I could tell. I see you every day on my feed. So if you can do that with consumers and become kind of that trusted resource in your community. And the beautiful thing about social is community has no boundaries. It's pretty much endless. It's a game changer. And I would just encourage people to lean in, be real, be authentic. Don't try to be somebody or something you're not, because that that stuff shows through and people,
It does.
quickly will scroll past you. But it works.
Yeah.
Something you did, Brian, that I think is brilliant, and this isn't really Finlocker talk, but choose a platform and get good at that platform, because each one of those audiences are a different demographic and they're there for different things. It's like, it's hard to build. They're all different types of relationships.
Yeah.
Right. And it takes time to build reputation and earn trust. And you do that through consistency. So I love what you did. Choose one platform, get good at it. And then if you want to distribute it on other platforms or pivot your message for other audiences, you can. But you can really, you can do really, really well just dominating one social media platform and just earning a large audience and high trust in that one social environment. You don't have to be all things to all people. You just need a channel.
I agree. I LinkedIn is my kind of platform of choice, and it makes sense, right?
You're B2B.
I'm B2B, so that's where my B lives.
Yeah.
And I've dabbled, I've got an Instagram, I don't even know what the heck you call it, thing going on, and once a week I'll take something that I produced over on LinkedIn and publish it to Instagram. And YouTube is a great channel for us because I can take every video that we do and put it on our channel. We just don't have a big audience there, but it's a great resource to point people to who want to go a layer deeper on either Brian or Finlocker or both. And so I agree, Scott. I think you pick one that's going to be easy for you too. That's not going to cause you a lot of stress, and just lean in there. It's not too late, by the way. It's never too late to get started.
No, not at all. And the thing of it is too, you're going to find an audience. We always say this, like attracts like. And so by having the opportunity of you doing, whether it's a video, whether it's a podcast, you do videos, but you also do articles, you also do a newsletter.
Yeah.
And so you have to find what works for you. We always talk about doing video. I love doing video because they see you. And just like you say, you walk into a conference and they immediately come up to you, they recognize you. So it creates that. We've had so many of our clients that we produce their videos have said, yeah, I walk into a grocery store and somebody's like, oh, hey, how are you? It's like, and suddenly you become, that person that they can recognize because you are doing the video.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you're going to do, I love the fact that you said you made the commitment to do one thing a week. And that's where it starts. Kyle Seagraves, who now has, I don't know what, 120,000 followers, subscribers on his YouTube
180,
channel.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
And his top video, 1 million views. And that's all he does. He does long form content. He does it on YouTube. He has a great following, but he was consistent. And when he started, it was just one video a week. And that was it. And so that's the commitment, is to make it and to find something to talk about. And that's why I say, talking about Finlocker, it's like, if you want to do education for consumers and you just want to do one video a week talking about here's what you need to do to plan. Here's what you need to do to prepare. Here's what you need to do to look for. If you're doing something for consumers in your area, then show your area. Don't be afraid to go out and, stand in front of a local coffee shop. We've had a lot of our clients have their videos go viral when they're talking about, are you relocating? Are you thinking about relocating?
Yeah.
So those are things, think about those different things. And then I love repurposing. You talked about taking what you're doing, repurposing it, putting it onto YouTube. And so that's a great thing you can do as well. She's tired, huh?
And she's getting restless.
One thing I do,
Our
Ginger,
mascot.
is Monday through Friday is pretty much new content or newish content. Not all video. It's a little bit of mix of this and that.
Yeah.
I like to drop a poll in every once in a while on LinkedIn. Those
I like that.
those things go crazy. But on Saturdays and Sundays, I literally reuse old content.
Yeah.
And so there's less traffic on the weekends on LinkedIn for whatever reason. So I'm still showing up, but it's it's recycling an old piece of content that I did. And when I first started, I wasn't thinking ahead at all. So I would record something, post it, and then delete it. And now I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Everything I record, it's stored away. Maybe I use it again, maybe I don't.
Yeah.
But the podcast is in it, and I've been doing the podcast for a couple of years. Where I'm late to the game is using content from the podcast as new, fresh content in smaller slices. And so the last couple of months, I've been chopping up every episode and creating, 10 to 15 new pieces of content that are helpful for me and my feed, but I also share them with my guest, and they can use it for their benefit. And it's, it's not like the podcasting thing. I don't over engineer anything. I'm a one take recording.
Yeah.
Every video I do is the same way. The podcast the same way. I don't have a big team. It's me, and I have Diana on my team from a marketing perspective. And so we keep it super simple. We don't over engineer it. I don't use any filters, as you can see. And what you see is what you get.
And people love that. And that's the thing. People always think you have to be something else. But people will resonate to you, especially if I think the message and the consistency are the most important parts.
Yeah.
And there's, with AI, we produce a lot of podcasts and we always clip out. And I love the clips because sometimes, if you're doing a 20-minute podcast, you can get a good 10 different clips out of there. Amazing. And there's some great AI tools now that our team has been finding that honestly, it'll put the captions in there. If you're doing a Zoom like this, you can, overlay. I mean, it's just like so awesome. And so building that library of content that you have access to is so powerful. So even if your thing's like, oh, I can't think of anything, it's like, if you do a podcast, you've got 20 minutes of content that you're going to be able to pull from. And that's the thing as far as repurposing. Plus, then you can take that podcast and put it into a newsletter that you send out once a week.
Right.
And so, if you want to do a podcast talking about your area, and you want to reach consumers, start a podcast, talking about, living in Michigan. I mean, it's like, what is it like? Hey, are you relocating to Michigan? Then here's some things you need to know about our state, and invite other business owners on, invite people in, involve people in. And that's why, I mean, honestly, I think everyone should have a podcast because it is such an easy conversation to have, just like what we're doing right now. You don't need to just ask questions, be able to share information. So those are the great things. So I do want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you do. So you've got FinTech Fridays.
Yeah.
And that's the podcast. Is that right?
That's my podcast. Yep. We started, I think sometime in December, I'll record my 100th episode.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. So again, consistency. We publish every Friday morning. Sometimes, like Scott said earlier, I think before we hit record, sometimes we'll do a midweek special live episode. But we record, and usually I've recorded enough episodes, so I'm usually 6 weeks ahead of schedule. So that again,
nice,
takes the stress level down a little bit.
Yep.
But each of those is in it. Usually it's 20-25 minutes at the most. And what I started was I started it to highlight cool people, cool companies, and cool products around mortgage and real estate finance with kind of more of a tech angle, obviously FinTech Fridays. It's morphed. I still try to talk a lot about cool new technology, but of late, I've been talking with just people that are leaning in and leveraging technology to scale themselves, whether it's through social media or other platforms to lead with education. So we've kind of still are tech focused, but now expanding out and really trying to reach and address and help loan officers just find find something that can improve their, their business. And then an offshoot of everything we've been talking about was this newsletter that we started in May, and Scott's one of our contributors. I'm going to keep recruiting you, Ginger, to join.
I'm happy to
join the party.
Sign me up. I'm absolutely on board.
We've got, I think there's 16 or 17 of us that commit to just one article a month. Sometimes we've got overambitious people like Scott that are able to, we can always lean on when we need an extra content. But the goal, every Tuesday we publish this email version of the newsletter with 3 to 4 short, easily digestible articles by industry experts that are, with our focus being, if I'm a loan officer subscriber, our goal is that every time you read the newsletter, you at least have one actionable idea, or even better, a tangible piece of content that you could literally cut and paste.
Oops, we lost you for a second there.
Oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay. So the newsletter is all about educating and arming loan officers with content that they can take to their community to educate consumers. And so we've got, 600 or so email subscribers, but we have 6,000 subscribers on LinkedIn. And so again, all of this stuff is intertwined, and continues to talk, for me personally, my personal brand, everything is kind of circulating around these channels. But all of our objectives is to arm and educate the folks that are frontline facing off with consumers every day and make them better educators and better stewards of financial literacy in their community, which again, long game means if you build trust and do all the things that we're talking about, you will win your share of business when it's there to be won.
Absolutely.
Well, and it may not even be, it's the long game, yes, but I really think by using the tools that you have, creating videos around it and showing people how to do that, I think it can honestly get you the attention of people who are there right now.
Very true.
So I think it's that having that ability to educate and to share, and you don't know where they are on the journey.
That's right.
But if you insert yourself into that, and provide the information, and you do it consistently to where they can rely on you. It's like, oh, I remember. And then they'll share that information because maybe they see it and it's not even for them, but it's like, oh my gosh, I was just, hanging out with Joe the other day and Joe was talking about he wants to buy a home. Hey, this is a really good video. So those are kind of things to think about, putting yourself into the middle of that. I want to hop back into the newsletter though, because having the newsletter and what you provide with financial information, I want to talk about what Scott has done recently to be able to take that newsletter and to be able to spin that with AI and to use that information in your own newsletter, which is brilliant. So Scott, you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. No, I was talking to a loan officer that was receiving the Finlocker, the FinTalk Friday's newsletter. And she was like, I've got all of these great ideas. We want to create content to send to our database. And I want to wedge this in here real quick. We talk about long game because when you create content consistently, at some point you will build an organic inbound business channel, but that content, everybody complains, everybody knows they should be touching their past client database, but everybody's complains that they don't have anything to talk to them about. Well, when you create your content, you send it. So I was talking to this loan officer and she was like, there's all of this great content, all these great ideas. We want to create content using these ideas that they get every week. So what we did is we created an AI prompt and we just copied and pasted all 6 articles from that email. And we trained ChatGPT on all of those great, awesome, different perspectives from different professionals that had a different angle on the same topic. And this one was credit readiness, right? So it was about credit reports and building your credit. And so then we were able to create a whole suite of content using training ChatGPT on these 6 different articles by these 6 different experts. And then you basically have unlimited content about credit. And you can do that every single week. And so that's what I love about what you did with that, Brian, is because like, it was funny because we had kind of talked about this when you were like, yeah, I want loan officers to be able to use this to create content. And then that happened just kind of completely out of the blue. And I was like, he's onto something there.
That level of usage was out of my scope, frankly, at the time. I was living in copy paste world when I was thinking about it.
Copy and paste is one way to do it, but you can, repurposing and amplifying is another way. And again, it's an and, it's not an or.
Well, and take it one step further too, to where you can do that. And why not create a blog on your website? And so now that's going to have, additional, new content. And that's what Google is looking for. So, I mean, just the whole thing. First of all, it begins with the resources. So Brian, thank you so much for that, for providing the resources. And if you want to find, because we're at the top of the hour, so I'm going to make sure we try and stay in that time. So where can people find you to be able to connect?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, if we haven't already talked about that. So first name, last name, you see my name on there. You can check out our website, finlocker.com. I have a LinkedIn page for the FinTech Fridays podcast.
Okay.
And then if you go to finlocker.com, I think top scroll bar, far right, resources. At the bottom is our FinTalk newsletter where folks can subscribe there.
Cool.
So you could pretty much find us all the usual spots.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest. We'll definitely have you back on again. And, hey, you guys, don't just listen to this, go out and take action on it. And that's the key. That's why we do it. And so we're here every Wednesday. We stream live every Wednesday. You can catch all of our previous podcast recordings at mortgageinfluencers.com. Next week, we have Theoni Rappo, who is a incredible influencer, especially on TikTok. So she's going to share what she's been doing recently. And then the following Wednesday, we have Tim Brahim. And so Tim's going to be joining us talking about how to create that success, not just in business, but in life. So Brian, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Go have a great day.
Thanks all.